What is going on YouTube? Yes, my SABATON family, it has been a very long time. I happen to know that a lot of my subscribers have come to my channel because of SABATON. It only makes sense that I cover these songs because they're historically based. But here's the problem. I love SABATON, so they are on my playlist. I listen to them all the time. So I know all their music. There's really nothing to react to. Well, they came out with a new song called The Templars, which is not only exciting because it's cool, but it's exciting because it's something that is actually kind of right up my alley. I'm going to give a full disclosure because I've gotten myself in trouble. If you have a short attention span and you want to get past this, go to this song. That's fine. But to my family out there who has been with me for the years, I'm going to come clean. This whole historian thing, kind of a stretch, kind of a gimmick in a lot of ways. Let's get serious for a moment here. Yes, I have a bachelor's degree in history, and I specialize in English literature, and I specialized in medieval Europe and the formation of the early church. If anybody asks me, that's what I tell them. But if you want to know the nuts and bolts of it, that just simply means I took one or two classes out of many that I could have taken, history related, and there just happened to be some on some of my favorite classes. There was a Crusades class I took. So now I am an expert in the Crusades, right? There is a Formation of the Early Church class I took, which was super cool. We got to reenact the Council of Nicaea, which was pretty neat. You know, there was also, in English, one of my favorite classes was Chaucer class, right? I even took a class on, like, early Icelandic, like, early English. So, like, some kind of Proto-English, Germanic type stuff. It was really neat. And that's really it. My capstone project was on medical advancements of World War I. So I'm kind of an expert in that, right? And keep in mind, this was 15 years ago, okay? So to all of my people out there who have watched my previous videos and you say things like, oh, historian should have known this and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I apologize. So the whole historian thing, I may not even put it on the title of this video. But maybe I will. I don't know. It's worked in the past, but it's also bit me in the rear end too. So anyways, Crusades is something that I am very passionate about. I actually have tons of books on the Crusades. In fact, this is my personal favorite by Thomas F. Madden, The Concise History of the Crusades. This is an amazing book, and it breaks everything down very nicely, but also very responsibly too, really. There's no, you know, kind of like pointing fingers or political implications, stuff like that. Just very nice, concise historiography. I've also noticed too that I've got a couple of books back here. This one's kind of neat. This is Via Crucis, whatever. I think it's Latin. Published in 1898. This is a pretty old book, but it's all about the Second Crusade. This one here. And then I also have this one, which is kind of cool. I get this neat little 3-book set here. But this one is The Monks of War, which is all about the Templars. I have not read that yet, but I am seriously going to probably pick it up tonight and check it out after looking at this. So I was kind of bummed that there wasn't a SABATON History Channel video about this. But just off the top of my head, the Templars were basically almost like a monastic order. They did have similar orders to monks where they, you know, they took certain types of vows and things like that. I believe they even did like prayer hours and things like monks did. But their primary job was to protect the pilgrims, you know, who would, you know, they, after a couple crusades, they kind of established a, you know, kind of a route, and they would kind of help people either, you know, in the Holy Land or on the way to the Holy Land. You know, their job was to protect all of these pilgrims who were coming across. But then over time, you know, so their order started around in the 1100s. It would have been shortly after the First Crusade. And then they wrote, like a lot of these monastic orders and things, they actually ended up rising in power and wealth, right? So when the Crusader states kind of fell apart, the fall of Acre, I think, was kind of like the last straw. They were disbanded because, for a lot of reasons. Probably the biggest one was that a lot of these kings, specifically the King of France, owed them a lot of money. And wow, what a great way to erase your debts, but to say that all these people are heretics, you know, homosexuals and all these other things that they got them for. So they disbanded them, took all their assets, and burned a lot of them, like at the stake and stuff like that. So anyways, that's what I know about the Templars. So again, I'm going to brush up more on it tonight and maybe do a follow-up video and talk a little more about it. Maybe a stream. I don't know. Okay, for you short attention span folks, now's a good time to start again because we are going to go check out the song right now. All right, so I just got to say, there's some cool pictures and imagery to go with this song. Just look incredible. And it looks like the video is going to have equally neat stuff to look at. So here we go. Let me just also add to it too really quick. I forgot to mention that Templars are still kind of talked about a lot, especially amongst like conspiracy theorist groups, you know, about the dreaded Masons and all that, the people who control the world behind the scenes. And, you know, people talk a lot about certainly the imagery for Masons. And I was actually a Knight of Columbus, and I always remember thinking, man, the swords were so much cooler looking for the Masons because they kind of like mirrored them off of like Templar swords. And, you know, the Knights of Columbus ones were like, I don't know. Anyways, here we go. Yeah, if you're on his channel, you know I like to talk, so I apologize. Here we go. Pair, he definitely fits the look. Ooh. All right, so I mean, of course, I got to speak to the music a little bit. I mean, a lot bit, right? Because that's super neat stuff happening here. You know, just I love if you listen closely. You know, you've got a cool contrast between like that monastic chanting kind of thing going on, but then in a very strange decision, they went with almost like synthesized sound in there, which is to me again is odd. I feel like you'd want to kind of remain kind of gothic in your sound and kind of make everything fit all the same theme. So the choice of using like the synthesized, I don't know if it's an effect on the guitar or if it's synth in the background to kind of like shore it up or whatever. Really cool. But I love the build, you know, how it kind of transitions. A lot of energy, like every Sabaton song you'll ever listen to, right? But it almost looks like they're getting information and they're kind of like they're making a stand. Maybe this is like toward the end or something. I don't know what the story is, but hear that little. It's got to be guitar effect. What the echo?
The poor fellow soldiers of Christ and the temple, the mission, a journey about to begin. Safeguard the path, the way to salvation, protecting the faithful, a journey within. The holy order, ignite the flame, protect the border, Jerusalem calling the name.
just have such a sweet parade, you know, all their songs.
False accusations, put out the flames. Assassinations, Jerusalem still calls the name.
Double tap. Double tap.
God's call, holy order, Knights of Jesus Christ, charge from the temple. God's own chosen warriors, Templars on the march, charge from the temple. God's call, holy order, Knights of Jesus Christ, charge from the temple. God's own chosen warriors, Templars on the march, charge from the temple mount.
Oh, wait a minute. I gotta read this. Yep. Okay. So King Philip of France, drowning in debt, Templar order, right? Because here's the thing, like, I didn't even realize this till I started really studying the Crusades. It's weird as an American. I feel like a lot of Americans, a lot of us feel like all these great medieval tales and everything, most of them occurred in England, right? Or maybe it was just me. I don't know. But a lot of this stuff, like a majority of the Crusades and all that, that was France. Like so many French people, you know, and you know, sure, King Richard and all of that did their thing, but you know, France was heavily involved in the Crusades, and so for the king to be in debt, it kind of makes sense, right? If they're funding them to, you know, and especially when the Crusader states fell, I mean, you had to get your money from somewhere, and that would have been France, right? So let's see here. Dispatched letters of arrest, falsely accusing them. And yeah, I do remember Friday the 13th in October was when they were set to be executed. So a lot of them burned at the stake and just, you know, some nastiness. So legends say, a couple of the books say that too. I guess I did have time to read it, and I would have read it to a nice crackly fire. There's all the Sabaton folks. I gotta, okay, who misses Tommy J? Tommy Johansson. That's, I mean, I don't want to take away from the rest of the band for sure, but like, I'm always gonna love Tommy, you know. I don't know if he made, like his leaving, I don't feel was, I gotta get that shirt, because I love the imagery. But I don't feel like his leaving was as crucial. Just because, I mean, okay, now we can focus on talking. Okay, so like, I don't feel like his leaving was like as, I mean, as much as I love him, I wasn't devastated, because I know that he had so much other cool stuff going on with like Majestica and his YouTube channel and all that other stuff. So he wasn't going anywhere, you know. And I also, like, he never provided vocals, you know. Of course, he provided an awesome guitar, which sounds like they're doing fine without that, right? And I know there are other guitarists. I just, God, I can never remember his name. I know everybody else's but his. Anyways, they're doing fine. You know, that guitar solo was freaking amazing. I realize you guys are probably looking at this zit the whole time. Good golly, that thing should get its own YouTube channel. Holy hell, I haven't had a zit in like 15 years. Anyways, I'm sorry, I haven't talked to you guys in a while. It's like meeting an old friend for a while, right? You just talk about goofy stuff. So, yeah, great video. I mean, it stinks because the video is so good, and you know there's awesome stuff musically happening, but your brain doesn't know what to focus on. So as I was watching it, I was thinking, wow, maybe I should just kind of like watch it through one time and then try to break down the music the second time. But I mean, I've taken up enough of your time. That's fine. But again, just some really cool things happening musically. I think I've made the comment before that some Sabaton songs tend to sound somewhat similar. I want to say that people have given them that kind of crap too in the past about just, but I mean, I would challenge anybody. Like your songs are all about, for the most part, about war and battles. So you're very limited as far as like what kind of tempo you can have and what kind of key you use, right? Because keys will provide a different feel for different songs. Well, if every song is about war, you're going to have probably the same type of key, right? Usually a major key, right? Something that gives a lot of energy, and there's not a whole lot of minor stuff that kind of draws you in and makes you all quiet and depressed, so they're very limited as far as like, and all their songs have to be fast, they have to be upbeat, so they're going to be kind of similar, right? But this one, I liked how they played with a lot of conventions. They played with a lot of different sounds. You heard horns in there at some points. You heard, again, the monastic chanting. You heard some synthesizer in there, so it definitely added a cool, well, okay, probably guitar effects, you know what I'm saying? But it was a very modern guitar effect, And then I just kind of lost myself in the music, and I just kind of forgot it was SABATON, which is kind of a cool thing, right? I mean, I want to say even Joachim's voice sounded a little bit different, and not as flashy as I've noticed in some previous songs. It's kind of more, I don't want to say matured, but just more like melding with the music, and just it felt very nice. Not saying it doesn't normally, you know what I'm saying. But anyways, great song, great stuff. I can't wait. Now I can just start listening to it more and more, and I've got to get some merch for this song because I love the Crusades. There's actually, for when I was in college, one of my art projects, I actually did, this was kind of like, you can see I got a copy of the Hereford Mappamundi here, which is one of my favorites. And then I drew this in art. So you can see, again, just kind of like that theme and love for the Crusades. I mean, I don't put that picture, I don't put that picture like in my background because, I mean, some might find it kind of offensive, but Crusade battle that I drew. So anyhow, SABATON family, great to see you guys again. Hope to see you in the next one. If not, then whatever. But until then, be safe, healthy, and be nice to each other.